Welcome back to the single player world, guys. We are over in the Hobbiton area. This is an area you might not be too familiar with. We were actually here just a few weeks ago, but this is a brand new area right here in it. So let's push this button, watch those doors open, and this is still a work in progress. Before I go any further, I just thought we'd start off this episode walking in here, paying respects to our patrons who have just joined us. And I said the last time we did this, I said we are going to have an altar for the next time we sacrifice some diamond blocks. And today we've got an altar, but I'm not very happy with it. That's what this is right here. But we'll be working on it, and this is purely a work in progress. I've got some cool ideas. And first of all, today we are saying hello to 10 brand new patrons, and that is why we are using 10 diamond blocks, and that is to pay for all of these right there. So we've got those there. We've got an altar. Get rid of them. And no more diamond blocks. So that was pretty much all that I wanted to do. I've got some other cool stuff hooked up here, but there's just so much. Look, let me just show you this. There's just so much redstone a guy can do before you go a little bit crazy. And I've done a whole bunch of stuff down here, and I've just got to link up a few more things. But you know, we'll do that in some time. It doesn't all have to be done right now. The thought is what we needed, and that is what we got over there. I got that in the wrong spot. All right, there we go. But yeah, this was pretty much just me trying to get this thing up and running. I was doing a lot of redstone. I couldn't really think too much on this side, so I thought, you know, let's just get it working, and we'll deal with that in a future episode or stream, or maybe just like what I did here, off camera, just hanging around, messing around with those sorts of things. So now that that is done, we can go ahead and go up to the top here. So this hobbit hole right up here, and I think I've left the door open, to be honest, because I've been doing some building in here as well. And this has needed to be expanded because we've got 10 new patrons that are getting added on here. And I thought, you know, we could have done a little bit here, but we need a lot more space. And before I go any further, Huskers is in the right spot, which is great. And Zcon has moved around the corner here from being on this wall because we've had to open up this whole area around here. And starting today, let's just get some space in here. We'll clear that out there. We'll just go like in a row like that. I think I swapped these two around. There we go. All right. So first of all, we're going to say hello to the Storm's house. I've been reading that Storm's house. So really it could be Storm Shouse, but we get what's going on. Crafty Minder 1998, Mr. Sir, JG Crafter, Seacow, Everyday Gamer, Artella, and Jedi Bob, PMG, and last but not least, today, Lady Yasumi, which marks the third lady on the server. We've got Lady Yasumi, Lady Rugenton, and Lady Rotrose. I think we've definitely got our fair share of lady-named people on the server. Now, where is my button? I've got a button to press. There we go. Wonderful. So that should have the door closed. And before we go any further, thank you very much to all those brand new people. Thank you to all the people that are around here already. And also, thank you to all you guys for just joining us on our videos and having a good time. But as I say, a very big thank you to all those people we've just added in there. Now, what we're doing today is we're going to go back to the new city, the big city. And we're not going to be building in that market area that we were in the last episode, because you know what? I've got some ideas for that. I want to split things up a little bit before I maybe go a bit too far and go lose my mind in that area. We're going to go around to the ship, which is also a long-running project where we're doing a few bits and pieces to it. And I think what we'll do over there is we will get the next little layer of that ship done. We're on the ship in the city right now. That is where we were working in the last episode, which, by the way, I've done a few very small things to that tower over there, but just take it in. Look at that from that angle. Although we don't have much of an angle, it just looks really good, I think. And of course, I will do the one spot. This little gap is the only spot I haven't done yet. We'll fall down there. However, right in front of us here, let's not ignore the big changes to the ship. Of course, we've got a really cool front to it. And I'll get back up where I just was. And on this front here, what we're looking at is 2 levels. Well, 1, 2, and 3, I guess. But 2 levels, 2 decks that have been completed now. And the first one, of course, was for the captain's quarters. If you guys haven't seen that episode, that was probably about 5 or 6 episodes back. And we've got the captain's quarters around over here. And that was a pretty fun thing. I really enjoyed just these small touches, the things like that, the map around here, which actually, maybe we could just try updating. This might make a little bit of a change over there, I think. So let's just Yeah, you can see that now. It's got that little brown speckle over there. So map's been updated. But what we are doing today is we're going to be working on this next deck, which is down here. And I've done a few interesting things on the front here, and I'll just quickly take you through them, and we'll then get into the story of what's happening in here and how that's going to help us build it. Because I've mentioned before, that's a very, very important part of this entire world. It's a very important part in terms of this particular city, because a lot of these things are coming around from this dock. I mean, this dock itself has pretty much built this whole city so far just by that one idea. And that's the strength of having a story in the world, the power of a story in the world, because this dock meant a boat, meant the market, which is going to relate back to the dock, and the boat meant this area here. It's all pretty cool, I think, to just have all this stuff. And what we've got over here is I've just got this little interesting way down and up the ladder. You can see, just very simple, nothing too exciting. But the exciting stuff here is that I've done two doors. I've got a door over there, a door over there, and one door, of course, at the top there, which is a little bit different to how we did the last boat. The last ship, sorry. The last one we had only a single door going into this equivalent deck, which was the cabin cruise quarters. I don't know, the cruise area, whatever you call it. And what I decided to do for this one is something a little bit different, and that is have two, just to make this area look a little bit more interesting, and also because of what the story is going to be. I think it could be kind of cool. And I just want to know, can I take that out? I hope I can. I can't. I think I might just end up pushing this out just a little bit more like that. And there's a reason for it, and that's because this area here is very small for what we might be doing. But I think that'll work right there. We'll have to go check from the outside. So coming in here, I was thinking to make this area a little bit more interesting shape-wise, not necessarily building into the details of it. I thought it would be really cool to go and have something like this, or maybe even one more in that way, to make this area curve around. That it just creates a bit more interest, I think, in here. It makes this place have a nice little curve to it, a nice little shape to it. That's all I really want, is like an interesting little shape like that. So now as you walk in, you'll be able to do maybe something there. That seems a little bit too close, perhaps there. Let's check that out. Yeah, so coming in there like that, we'll have this U shape going in here. And that will have, for instance, a room in here, a room around there. Hopefully we can fit one in here. This was what I was just thinking with why we need to move this area out back here. So nice and cozy. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the very close walls over here. Although we're probably going to have to think of a few interesting ways to get around there. So that's what I'm going for here. And then we'll probably just go and work out the central piece there. Beautiful. And there. So here's where the story comes into it. 2 episodes ago, I think it was 2 episodes ago. If you guys want to check this comment, it will be 2 episodes ago by a person, a patron, a bearded fella, someone who works on the sea, and that is Wurzel. The patron. And what he said, because of course he knows his ships, he knows everything pretty much there is to know about the ocean and boats and stuff. Apparently, back in the day, ships used to sell spots, like places for you to, for instance, as a cargo ship, places for you to stay over. Say, for instance, you were traveling, you wanted to travel, the ship would offer you its services of traveling to stay in cabins that, for instance, weren't being used, and store away your own stuff. For instance, if you're trying to send stuff over to other places, you could just hire a little spot on the ship, and you'll be able to get your stuff over. And look at this. This is some silly lighting glitches, because of course, yeah, we'll just keep it like that for now. We'll fix it up. But yeah, pretty much what you would do is you would buy a piece on the ship from an agent, and that would allow you to have basically just a ticket, like a normal cruise ship ticket. I guess it's something like that, but not necessarily on a cruise ship. And I'm going to guess not quite as luxurious as one either. And how did I do that door? There we go. Let's just make sure this is not too crazy as we go in here. Yeah, that'll work quite well. We can fit in another room here, and probably, I'm debating whether or not this area will work, but we'll try it out anyway. But basically the idea is, what we're going to do now is we are going to be having the same idea of having a cruise ship sort of thing, being the ship selling tickets to get onto here. And that will be also for the things to be stored away. So for instance, down underneath this level here, we've got a lot of space where we're going to be putting in all of the items that are going on the ship, getting transported far, far away, and that'll be right around here. And we've got a lot of work to do in here, a lot of space to fill up, but we've got a lot of story to fill into it. And that's where, as I say, the story helps you out a lot. Now, the really cool thing, I think this is pretty awesome, is the fact that it ties into major areas in here. So we've got the area we've just been working on in the town, the market area, and we've also got the area that we are working on right now being the ship. And those are two spots that I really wanted to somehow tie in with one another, because of course there's no real fun having something that just kind of sits there. And that's what I used to do in my last world, just to have stuff for the sake of building stuff. And I think right now what we've learned is really building things for the sake of building things is awesome, but having this extra little bit behind it makes it so much cooler. And this over here, by the way, might be a little bit of a problem. Go out here, walk back in. Nope, that's fine. I think that'll be all right. Although, as I like to always dent things in a little bit, just because it makes it a bit more interesting like that little corner instead of having it next to it like that. I feel like sometimes I can get away with it just not being quite as poppy as it normally looks. That's I guess the word. So say for instance, doing something like this over there, that looks poppy, you know what I mean? Like, unless it was against here. I know it's kind of a weird description, but you guys know what I mean. Like that, very flat. Looks kind of boring. And then we just do that. Interesting again. So that's what we're going for on this. And what I'm thinking will be kind of cool is once we've got this area filled in here, we would maybe go and down the bottom there, try work out if there's some way. And this is going to be a very difficult thing, actually, not just kind of difficult, is getting at something similar to a hammock. So something that the crew, the lowest crew member would be using. So someone who basically just cleans and does all the horrible stuff, gets a really horrible room, just to make this feel like it's really tying in that not everyone is on the same level in this city and in the ship. And in fact, it's also, here's something else that I thought would be kind of cool to experiment with in terms of the story and in terms of how we build this current town that we're in, is how do we get some sort of disparity like that into the story? I'll tell you what I was thinking. And oh, we've already got a stowaway. Is around here, for instance, and we'll just wait a few seconds. I'm sure these are kind of gonna pop up pretty easily. Over here, there's a little bit of an alleyway. Where was it? Somewhere there. And I basically filled it in like that to make sure we don't have an alleyway. But I think what we'll do is actually build in alleyways. And I was thinking specifically here by the market, it would be kind of cool to have little places where you could have, for instance, people who have turned to crime, people who have done stuff like that. And this whole city is really just, it's kind of like a testament to like how, for instance, something like might look very neat and look very tidy, but realistically it's got its dark side. I think that's the point that I'm trying to do. And speaking of the dark side of this, I'm probably going to go ahead, I'm going to fill up that area, and I'm also going to go to sleep. Now I'll get to the cabins we've been working on, and as I say, we will be doing this extra little bit of a story within a story, which is always cool, I think. But right now I'll show you the cabins that we've got here. We've just got a few beds, bunk beds, which I'm definitely not just kind of a little bit sad. I'm very, very sad that we're not going to be able to do this apparently in the upcoming updates. Supposedly, I haven't tested them out just yet for myself, but supposedly beds can't be placed on top of another bed anymore, or they need to have two solid blocks below them, which is quite a pity. It's kind of sad because in the end, it allows for so many cool little things. You know, bunk beds, umbrellas. I've seen people do beach umbrellas. Like, what are those little things on the front of stores? I can't even think right now. Just things like that. Like, it's just, I'm going to miss those things. Nice things that the beds did. By the way, I thought it would be kind of cool, a little bit of an add-on here to put a little bit of a bathing area or something like that. I thought that was kind of something I could imagine on a ship. And that's pretty much this whole U-shaped spot in here. Very, very snug. You see, you walk in, very, very snug. Kind of the feeling you have on a ship itself. And you would imagine a ship would have like this sort of tight, small amount of wasted space because purely it's trying to take as much stuff on it as possible. Then a few other changes I've got here. Some extra crates because of course it is carting stuff around. Crates, some more logs, because the logs are getting taken off at the top here. You can see piles of logs coming off the ship. I think that adds on that little bit of detail, and of course you can't miss the net down the bottom there. And we'll continue adding on more stuff there. We'll do more things underneath. Nothing else has happened underneath. Now, one thing I've done around here, and this is a question I have for you guys out there. If you guys have an idea of something, we can add a small thing, nothing big, like just little details. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to go for some of the more obscure ones as well. For instance, this over here, I just randomly did in a stream, a little thing to carry water up a level. I don't have a balcony on here yet, but if I do, that makes sense. You know, pulling up water to put onto the top level. It's kind of just a little bit of a weird add to the city that just gives it a little bit more character, but doesn't really mean too much in terms of the building itself. But in fact, that little thing does, I guess, mean quite a lot. Surprisingly, I guess. And then also, for instance, the barrels. And what I've just done here is, for instance, a tree inside here. And this is an odd looking tree. I've just tried a weird combination of blocks. And of course, just did a really small custom tree, and I thought it was a good little thing to add in. And I've been waiting to try it. Man, I can't speak properly right now. I've been waiting to try it for a few weeks now, and I just haven't given it a go yet. So I thought, you know, let's give it a go and test it out. And I think that looks kind of alright, to be honest. I'm not really against that. One thing I thought would be kind of cool. Let me just quickly go grab some fence posts, or sorry, fence gates. I was trying to think of how I could do a trim for the bottom of that tree, and I think I had some of them in here. Should do it just for testing purposes. In fact, birch, weirdly enough, may very well work here. I feel kind of weird saying it, but birch could actually do the trick. However, I'm not too sure whether these things do touch the ground. No. Well, that is a pity. I guess I could do something along these lines here with this. Maybe something like that. No. I've put the wrong ones on. Something like this over here maybe could work. Yeah, that's something interesting. I'll give that a go. Just to make it feel like this city's been upkept. The trees are being kept up, and so are the gardens and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. I'll be completely honest. But I'll leave it. How about I just leave it, let it settle in, and we'll see how we feel about it after this. So for today, guys, I think we've done a good amount of work here, and what I'm looking at doing in the next episodes, and specifically next episode, is going back to this area here. And what I want to do is I want to start getting this feeling around this way. As you walk up these stairs, you see this unfinished thing, which will be the next stage. You just see stuff in front of you. You kind of block out your view of anything else, so that as you're coming up from this way, you've got a pretty broad view of things around there. The palace will be behind there. And as you come up this set of stairs, you're blocked off. You feel just the market area. You can see the castle through there, or the palace through there, but it's going to start making you kind of a little bit lost. And one thing I have noticed I've been doing in the city, sometimes when I log in, or say for instance I step away from the computer for a bit and I come back in and I have to sometimes work out where I am a little bit in here. If I look at this building, for instance, I'll stop for a second, try work out until I find, there we go, that's where we are. And that's a really, really great thing, that I'm getting lost in the city. And I can only imagine when this gets larger and larger, you'll struggle to know where you are, and that's a good thing. I'm really excited for that. So for today, guys, I hope you have enjoyed this episode, and also if you've got any ideas, please let me know. But that'll be all for today, guys, and thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.